and believe it or not, part of the second. I'm that transitional child. Well, I have a little memory of my Aunt May's house, growing up there, and she was like a second mother to me. My Uncle Kiefer was wonderful to me. I was the darling. I was the little girl who showed up after 3 boys, and everybody was so happy to have this little baby, let alone a girl, for Ethel. And Mike, he was very happy also. And however, then Mom and Mike had problems, I guess. You know, I don't remember any of that, but I remember a lot of cousins around, and I remember just being very well loved by everybody from my Aunt May's house. And then we moved to an apartment where Mom and Woody were married. Woody and I were very close for, I'd say, 5 years before she married him. And I was his little darling, and I remember just loving him, and he loved me very much, and I remember that very well. And so I was very close. And then I guess things changed when Harold was born, my brother, in that he now had a child of his own, and he was a new father, and he was dealing with more kids, and my brothers were causing some problems in that they were not so happy to have a new father. Even though they kind of liked Woody, they did some fighting, some battling with him. Teenagers, you know that. Plus my dad would pop up periodically for them, and they felt disloyal by liking Woody. So I know that was going on. I never really participated much with my father at that point. I didn't want anything to do with him. I liked Woody, and I wanted to be there with him. But at any rate, so then Harold pops up, and I thought he was my kid early on because Woody had asked me, would you like a little brother? This is the day they're bringing him home. And I knew he wanted me to say yes, but I mean, I already had 3. What would I want another for? But I said yes, and so they bring home this little baby with red hair and put him in my arms, and I think, well, this is mine. This is mine. I had, they ran into some money, and he was born prematurely, and they needed some money to get him out or get some things at the hospital. And I had just had a celebration, and I had $23. And so when Woody asked me if I wanted a little brother, he also asked me if he could have the $23. So I said, okay, and then they bring this baby home. So I really loved Harold a great deal. And I don't know why, because everyone says, well, you know, you and Woody then shifted, but I never really felt a terrible shift from him. What I felt mostly at that time was the battle that was going on with my older brothers and Woody. And my mother, she was always crying at that point because the boys were getting, well, I'll just leave home, you know, and one by one they left home, went to the service. Tommy, then Terry a few years later, and eventually Mickey went to the service. And being a hickey, I thought as I got older, well, I guess I have to go too. When I finish high school, that's what I have to do. I was very scared to leave home. So I think the transition for me was always sort of knowing I was one of the 4 lucky kids that Woody married my mother with 4 kids. Aren't we lucky? 4, you know. And Mom always say that, no, you know, be good. He's a wonderful man, and he takes care of you, and he doesn't have to. I'm like, okay. But I loved him. I mean, I always felt like a wood burn. Oh dear. That wasn't supposed to happen. At any rate, so he was very good to me as a little kid. and I loved him very much. And so, of course, I loved the new kids, you know. But my sister, when she was born, like a year after my brother, she was very sick, and she almost died. So my mother was at the hospital all the time, and she had to take extra special care of her when she came home. So what I remember is having Harold on my hip, you know, and she's carrying around Ida. And I thought, well, I've got mine, you've got yours. So that's what it was to an 8, 9-year-old, you know, at that point. But I felt part of both families. And I think that's influenced me to try to keep families together. And I had no idea I was going to cry. But it was a scary time as a little girl, I think. I just always felt like I'd have to go soon. Only because I was a hickey. But Woody never treated me like a hickey in a way. He always acknowledged that my father was different and I should love and respect him, although he didn't respect him. And my dad would pop up periodically, but I would dismiss him. He scared me. I did not want this strange man, you know, to be my father. I do. And for a lot of holidays, they come to my house now. We were going to everybody's house, and then as she's gotten older, they now come to mine. And when I purchased a home, I made sure that it was large enough that we'd have this giant dining room where people could come and I could have dinners, although I don't really like to cook. But yes, I think I am a bridge between the two families. And, you know, I think it worked well over time.
Right. Now, your older brother, Mickey, said that you're one of his heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you think he would say that?
I think he identifies with me as like the last hickey, and he knows that we all had a struggle as part of the Hickey family without a father. We were all raised without a father, and that was very hard for him. And I didn't know it at the time, but I think also significantly hard for me. I didn't know it when I was young because I never would call Woody my stepfather, which I was supposed to, nor would I call him my father. I simply would refer to him as Woody, my mother's husband. I never quite even got that far. But I think Mickey feels that I've become successful in my life, and he's proud of me. And he and I always were the most close, except for Harold and I, you know, both brothers. He's next in line, older than me, and then my younger brother, Harold, is very close too. So I was close with the two boys. Terry a little, Tommy not at all.